coming and going, I mean I come and I leave. And I swear I'm really not that shady.
Yo, no, I'm posting on the roof with the booth around.
Bitch, I'm sipping tea, hey yo, what the fuck is up? Bitch, I'm sipping tea, hey yo, what the fuck is up? Bitch, I'm sipping tea, hey yo, what the fuck is up? Yeah, hey.
There is just so much to address here. First of all, she basically focuses the entire response on her saying the P word, but that's not even the most offensive thing she said. And she covered her mouth during the P word, but she didn't feel the need to do so when she was saying the N word. Like, I'm really confused. She thinks saying pussy is more offensive than saying a racial slur that's been used to dehumanize and just be generally derogatory towards a whole race. Like, I just don't see it. And she literally, she knows she's wrong. She's like, oh, bitch, what's up? Like, I covered my mouth. You can't be so indignant when you didn't cover your mouth a second after when he plays a clip of you saying the N-word. And she knows she's in the wrong because she's like starts trailing off and she's like, oh, I was just doing it because all my friends were bitch. No. Okay, your friends were doing it. Like, the common saying, if your friends were jumping off of a bridge, would you jump off too? Like, no, you have to have that common sense to understand what is appropriate to say and what is not. Like, get better friends or just don't do those things yourself. Like, there's no excuse. Like, you can't say that you were just doing it because all your friends were doing it, because I guarantee you not every single person was doing it. She makes it sound like it was an isolated incident and she just did it once because her friends were doing it. She succumbed to the pressure. But the other clip was not included in the Rice Gum video. And I found that was on the first Loren Gray old videos compilation I watched. So probably if I wasn't a lazy ass and did a little more digging into those old musicals, there'd probably be a lot more of her saying stuff she shouldn't be saying. So, because this is not an isolated incident, because clearly she feels very comfortable saying it, and before she had a following, and now that she does, she censors herself. Also, they literally, the compilation that I watched, the old Loren Gray compilation, had so many views, yet, and so many likes, yet she said the N-word, and it's never been put in one of the Loren Gray drama channels. So, her fans just assume that she's promoting that it's okay to say this to her fans, her young impressionable fans who are watching her, and say, yeah, your idol is doing it. You're basically, okay, if you say that, oh, all my friends were doing it, so I did it. Well, how do you think that dynamic would work if it was your idol and you were a fan of them and you saw them doing something? That's more pressure to do something. That's more of a reason to do so than just your friend. So you're putting on a bad example, and because your fans are so young, they don't see anything wrong with it. And you were young too at the time, Lauren. I mean, you were 14, but you were old enough to have the common sense to know whether this was the right thing to do or not.
For this when Rice Gum called her out for it, saying inappropriate stuff, particularly the N-word, defending her actions by saying that, yeah, that one thing I did was pretty bad, but, and then launching into how his other claims were irrelevant. only a small blurb in her long, dull response vid, making it seem as though this was trivial and the video was an isolated incident. But just from a quick search, I found like 3 videos of her saying words not fit for a 13-year-old and saying the N-word, which is not fit for anyone, but especially someone who isn't black. Last I checked, she was not black and did not pull a Whoa Vicky and just claim she was, so that word is off limits. There was basically no backlash to this, and the only time she even addressed it was on her response to Rice Gum, which I think is kind of wild with her reach. I mean, I was randomly on an Instagram live of hers where she was just eating ice cream, and Sky Jackson, Millie Bobby Brown, and Romeo Beckham all dropped by in the span of 10 seconds. Like, what? If you don't know who those people are, then I guess you're not born in the century. But saying stuff like this and then not offering any apology except the excuse that you only did it because all your friends were and it was in the song is bullshit. Tana Mojo tried this and it didn't fly. They might be doing it, but you should have the sense of whether it is an appropriate thing they are doing and whether you should be engaging in it as well. It's called critical thinking. But then again, she's a muser, so might not be doing a lot of that. But if she did pursue her initial dream career, she would have, because apparently she wanted to be a scientist like her dad. That's crazy, right? I had no idea. Now, this is the part where I share some things that made me soften my stance towards Loren. If you are a staunch hater of Loren, like I once was, you might not want to watch this, might want to just kind of go over it, but I found this by accident, and I mean, it really did make me question, not question how I felt about her. I feel like that's still pretty set in stone, but made me kind of feel more sympathy towards her. I thought her coming out and exposing Gio's unacceptable behavior when they were together was cool. She seemed really affected by their breakup, and it's definitely hard when you are in love and in a relationship with someone that you know is forcing you to do things that you aren't comfortable with. And I applaud her for being open about her experience and telling her fans you should not tolerate this. Now that is a good message to be sharing with your young fans.
And I'm sorry that I can't be with someone who's jealous and controlling and doesn't let me wear certain clothes and controls what I wear and controls who I talk to and doesn't let me have boys' numbers in my phone. That's ridiculous. We were dating. Anyone, I've never, ever, ever been unloyal to him, ever. And I don't care what he says and how he tries to spin it. I wasn't allowed to wear certain clothes that were revealed. I refuse to be with someone who controls what I wear and how I act and who I talk to and what I do with my life. And that's never how it's going to be, ever again. And I've learned so much from it to not take that. Majority of my audience is girls watching this right now. If a boy is telling you how to dress, please run as fast as you can. Never look back, because if someone's telling you how to dress, who to talk to, how to act, what numbers you can have, doesn't let me have boys' numbers in my phone, that's ridiculous. And yes, I cared about him to a certain extent, to the point where if you're going to control my life, I don't want that. So we can't sit there and blame it on me like it's my fault, but it's not my fault. Anything right now is because if I say something, it's going to make his life way harder than it is right now. Because if you guys knew what was really going on, trust me, you would never look at him the same way again. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Never let someone do that to me ever again. Breaking up, and even my own mother didn't want us together. She had to text his mom and say something because it got that bad. And I said, it's okay, we'll just be friends. I thought about it. I thought it through this morning. I texted him. I said, let's try again. And he said no. So Don't try to flip this on me and say it was my fault that we broke up. So yes, I blocked you, and I don't want to talk to you. And I hope that you put no other girl through what you put me through. Ever.
So in researching for this video, I stumbled upon an Elle article about Musical.ly stars, where I actually learned some stuff I was not expecting about Loren. Stuff that made her more human in my eyes. This is a quote by Elle, by the way. Once a straight A student who wanted to become a scientist like her dad, now Gray goes to an online school that has a gifted program. So they said once a straight A student, so I can't tell if they're saying that because one time in preschool she got all gold stars or some shit. Because they're saying once upon a time long ago type shiz. But even that she was a straight A student at one point in time is a low-key shocker. Also, she goes to a school that has a gifted program, but they don't say if she's actually in it or not. They just say that they have one. Do they know that every school basically has a gifted program? What? But I thought it was interesting that she wanted to be a scientist because that is very different from the career path than the one she has taken as a softcore stripper. I just realized her name even sounds like a stripper name. Lol. Like Miss Gray. We'll see now. That's a legit quote from 50 Shades of Grey. Oi. Gray was grateful for her fans. I felt a little overwhelmed. She turned 14 in April. Quote by Elle, again, the time of the interview. Gray did not say Jacob Sartorius was Hollywood, repeatedly saying he was nice, a sweet kid. It was clear Gray had felt the sting of getting left behind. She and Sartorius had become friends as they rode the wave of Musical.ly together, but something happened that she totally didn't understand. I was on a different tour than Sartorius, she said, referring to the various social media star tours. On some tours, they don't want you to communicating with other influencers. She raised her eyebrows. He kind of just changed his number, didn't give it to me, and that was the end. We just didn't talk anymore. Loren Gray was more blunt about her social media success affected her IRL social life. I have one friend left from school, she said. She explained that as her Musical.ly stardom growed, of course there's going to be backlash because that's just how girls are in middle school. She didn't have wiggle room to be herself. I didn't come from a huge town. People are not used to that. They aren't used to seeing people be successful. I liked how when she said about her fans turning up on her doorstep, she didn't act ungrateful. I mean, I would be a little annoyed if people were having a little what's it called? Dojo? No. No, it's not like a camp out. It's like what Native Americans used to Jambo. I'm literally gonna have to search it up because it's annoying me. And I sound like an ignorant idiot. But yeah, like Loren Gray. If people were having a camp out in my front yard when I was trying to live my life, especially at 14, God, I was a wreck then. But still am, so I guess not much has changed. Also, I mean, losing friends like that has got to be hard. And the downside to fame is that with friends, you will also get critics, so you gotta be tough, which she seems like she is doing. And when asked about one of her friends she lost, Jacob Sartorius, basically the king of Musical.ly, and also probably the star of one of my next videos, instead of taking the opportunity to expose him and be like, oh yeah, see, he's so mean and shit, but she defended him, even though he dropped her like a hot potato. Not so hot in Loren's case. Haha, just kidding. I mean, she is a pretty girl, but that is not the thing we as a society should be balancing all of our worth and self-esteem upon. Which is annoying, because that's what it seems like when you scroll through Musical.ly. But when she was doing the interview for Elle, she was with her mom and agent, so maybe their presence affected her responses. I rest my case. Gavel sound effects. Here are all the facts I deemed important when deciding whether to hate Loren Gray and to what degree. Take my opinion with a grain of salt. Don't worry, everyone can take one. I have enough salt to make Lake Michigan an ocean, because I'm a salty gal. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to say about the vid and who you want me to do next. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did please like and subscribe for more hard-hitting news pieces like this one. And turn on the bell to be notified whenever there is some more hot hate for me to dish out. Okay, that's a Chicken Caesar wrap, guys.